The mercy of strangers. The twin moons of Proxima 6 cast long shadows across the barren landscape as Juno Reeves adjusted her oxygen recycler. The salvage engineer's boots crunched on the rocky terrain, each step sending up small clouds of rust-colored dust. Her scanner chirped steadily, leading her toward what it claimed was a significant metallic mass just beyond the next ridge. "Command, this is Reeves." Still tracking the anomaly, she said into her comm, knowing full well there'd be no response. The signal delay was nearly 4 hours this far from the nearest relay station. She was on her own, just the way she preferred it. When she crested the ridge, Juno froze. Below her, partially buried in the moon's surface, lay the unmistakable form of a Nexary battle cruiser. Its silver-blue hull plates were warped and blackened, debris scattered in a wide arc that told the story of a violent descent. "Holy stars," she whispered, instinctively dropping to a crouch. The Nexary were humanity's most formidable enemy, a species of reptilian warriors whose technology outmatched human engineering in almost every way. Finding one of their ships was both the opportunity of a lifetime and potentially a death sentence. Protocol dictated immediate reporting and withdrawal. Nexary technology was valuable, but Nexary warriors were known to fight to the death. Yet Juno's scanner was picking up something unusual, a power signature, weak but steady, emanating from the ship's forward section. "Just take a quick look," she told herself, sliding down the ridge. "Tag it for the military and get out." The crash site was eerily silent. Juno moved cautiously among twisted metal fragments, her hand resting on the pulse pistol at her hip. A jagged tear in the hull offered passage into the ship's interior. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, but curiosity, her greatest asset and most dangerous flaw, according to her former commander, pushed her forward. Inside, emergency lighting flickered weakly, casting strange shadows across the alien architecture. The ship's design was both beautiful and intimidating, all smooth curves and biomechanical interfaces unlike anything in human vessels. A sound, soft and rhythmic, drew her attention. Following it led her to the command center, where she found him. The Nexary warrior was massive, nearly 7 feet of muscular, scaled body encased in what appeared to be a sophisticated battle suit. He was pinned beneath a collapsed support beam, the chest plate of his armor visibly damaged and contracting in irregular pulses. Each contraction seemed to restrict his breathing further, the warrior's four-fingered claws weakly scratching at the malfunctioning armor. His reptilian eyes, a startling amber with vertical pupils, locked onto her. Despite his weakened state, the intensity of his gaze made Juno take an involuntary step back. "Human," he rasped, the translator in his suit converting his native clicks and hisses into something she could understand. The word carried equal parts contempt and desperation. Juno's training told her to retreat immediately. The military would pay handsomely for coordinates to a downed Nexary vessel. The warrior would likely die before they arrived, one less enemy to fight in this seemingly endless war. Yet watching his labored breathing, seeing the armor slowly crushing him, Juno couldn't bring herself to leave. "I'm going to help you," she said, setting down her pack. "Don't move." The Nexary's eyes widened. "Why?" The question came between strained breaths. "Because you're dying and I can't just watch," Juno replied, approaching cautiously. "What's your name?" There was a long pause as the alien seemed to consider whether to answer. "Thexel," he finally said. "Commander Thexel Valshar." "I'm Juno Reeves." "Just Juno is fine." She examined the damaged armor. "This suit is crushing you, isn't it?" Thexel managed a slight nod. "Malfunction, safety protocols, reversed." Juno moved closer, looking for release mechanisms. Nexary technology was advanced but followed certain engineering principles she recognized. "I think I can help, but you'll need to trust me." A sound that might have been bitter laughter escaped the alien. "Trust? A human? Or suffocate in your fancy suit?" Juno replied evenly. "Your choice." After a moment's consideration, Thexel inclined his head slightly. "Proceed." Juno worked methodically, identifying the suit's control nodes. The design was elegant but damaged, requiring careful manipulation. "I need to disconnect the primary power relay to stop the contraction sequence," she explained, more to fill the tense silence than because she thought he needed the information. Second junction, Thexel struggled to speak. "Behind, neck plate." Working together, they managed to deactivate the malfunctioning systems. With a final mechanical hiss, the chest plate loosened. Thexel drew in a desperate, shuddering breath, his entire body trembling with relief. Juno stepped back, giving him space while keeping her hand near her weapon. "Better?" The Nexari commander studied her with those unnerving amber eyes. "Why did you help me? Your people and mine have been at war for 20 cycles. I'm an engineer, not a soldier," Juno shrugged. "I fix things. It seemed wrong to let you die when I could help." "Curious philosophy," Thexel observed, attempting to shift his position and wincing. Juno noticed fresh blue-black fluid, Nexari blood, seeping from beneath the armor plates. "You're injured beyond the suit malfunction." "The crash was not gentle," he confirmed. "Internal damage. Nothing fatal, provided I receive proper care." Juno hesitated, then opened her medical kit. "I have some universal coagulants that might work on your physiology. And painkillers." "You would waste your supplies on an enemy?" "I'd waste them on someone who needs them," she corrected, preparing the injector. "Besides, Nexari medical technology must be worth studying." Something like amusement flickered in Thexel's expression. "Self-interest. Now that, I understand." As Juno treated his wounds, they settled into an uneasy alliance. Thexel explained that his ship had been damaged in a skirmish with human forces, forcing him to attempt an emergency landing. His crew had evacuated in escape pods, but as commander, he had remained with the vessel to the end. "They will search for me," he said, his voice stronger now as the medications took effect. "When they find no body, they'll come looking," Juno finished grimly. "How soon?" "Days, perhaps. Proxima is not a priority sector." Juno's scanner suddenly emitted a warning beep. She checked the readout and frowned. "We have more immediate problems. Atmospheric pressure is dropping rapidly, storm coming, and it's a big one." Thexel attempted to stand, managing to rise to one knee before his strength failed him. Juno instinctively moved to support him, finding his scaled body surprisingly warm against her suit. "The ship cannot withstand another battering," he said. "We must find shelter." "There's a network of caves about half a kilometer east," Juno offered. "I mapped them earlier. If you can walk." "I can walk," Thexel insisted, though the effort clearly pained him. Together they salvaged what supplies they could carry and abandoned the ship as the first violent winds began to sweep across the landscape. Supporting each other, Human and Nexari made their way toward the caves as the crimson sky darkened to an ominous purple. "Strange circumstances," Thexel commented as they struggled forward. "In my 20 years of military service, I never imagined I would owe my life to a human. And I never thought I'd be helping a Nexari commander hide from a storm," Juno replied. "Life is full of surprises." As they reached the cave entrance, the full fury of the storm hit, pelting them with debris and dust. Inside, they collapsed against the rock wall, both breathing heavily. "What happens after the storm?" Thexel asked, his amber eyes reflecting the light from Juno's portable lamp. It was the question Juno had been avoiding. By all rights, they should return to being enemies once the immediate danger passed. She would report the crash site, he would rejoin his people. The war would continue. "I don't know," she admitted. "But maybe we don't have to figure that out right now." Outside, the storm raged, particles of dust and rock battering the moon's surface with increasing violence. But within the cave, Human and Nexari sat side by side, an impossible truce forged in the crucible of necessity, and perhaps something more. As the long night of Proxima 6 settled around them, Juno realized that the most valuable salvage from this expedition might not be the alien technology, but the understanding being born in this unlikely shelter. Bridges across stars. The storm outside howled with increasing fury as Juno arranged the portable heater between them. The cave's interior temperature was dropping rapidly, the natural cold of Proxima 6 asserting itself now that night had fallen. "Your thermal regulation seems inefficient," Thexel observed, watching her adjust her suit's settings. "One of the many disadvantages of being warm-blooded," Juno replied with a wry smile. "We're not all blessed with internal temperature control like Unexary." "Not blessed," Thexel corrected, his amber eyes reflecting the heater's glow. "Evolved. Our homeworld has extreme temperature variations. Those who could not adapt, perished." "Sounds harsh." "It is our way." He paused, studying her. "Your species values comfort over adaptation. It makes you innovative." Juno raised an eyebrow. Was that almost a compliment? Something that might have been amusement flickered across Thexel's reptilian features. Merely an observation. They fell into silence, the storm's roar filling the void between them. Juno rummaged through her pack, producing a ration bar which she broke in half, offering a portion to Thexel. He hesitated before accepting. "Your biochemistry and mine are not compatible. It's synthetic protein and carbohydrates," she explained. "Universal nutrient base. We developed it for first contact scenarios. Before we became enemies," he finished, cautiously sampling the food. After a moment's consideration, he nodded. "Adequate." "High praise," Juno chuckled, then grew serious. "How did it happen?" "The war, I mean. Our educational modules say the Nexary attacked our colony on Proxima 2 without provocation." Thexel's scaled brow furrowed. "Curious. Our historical records indicate human mining vessels infiltrated Nexary space and destroyed a research outpost." Juno frowned. "That doesn't match any history I've learned." "Perhaps both accounts are true from certain perspectives," Thexel suggested. "Or perhaps neither is." "What do you mean?" Thexel shifted, wincing slightly as his injuries protested. 20 cycles of conflict have made me question much. I've seen tactical decisions that seemed purposefully ineffective. Opportunities for negotiation mysteriously undermined. Juno's mind raced. "You think someone wants our species to remain at war? It would not be without precedent." Thexel's clawed hand moved to a compartment in his damaged armor, extracting a data crystal. "Before my ship was attacked, we intercepted unusual communications. Non-standard encryption, neither human nor Nexary in origin. Third-party interference." Juno took the crystal, examining it. "But who would benefit?" "Those who thrive in chaos. Weapons manufacturers. Resource exploiters. Perhaps entities unknown to either of our kinds." He gestured to the crystal. "The data is incomplete, but suggestive." Juno slipped the crystal into her analyzer. "If this is true, both our peoples have been manipulated into destroying each other." "A possibility I find increasingly probable," Thexel admitted. Outside, the storm reached its peak intensity, the screaming winds a fitting backdrop to their disturbing conversation. Juno's analyzer beeped, displaying partial decryption results. "These signatures match some I've seen in salvaged tech from the Altari Consortium," she said, frowning. "They're supposed to be neutral merchants, but there have been rumors that they supply both sides while encouraging conflict," Thexel finished. "We have similar suspicions." Their eyes met across the dim cave, a moment of perfect understanding passing between them. "We need more evidence," Juno said finally. "Agreed. But obtaining it will not be simple." The night passed in strategic discussion, their initial wary alliance evolving into something more purposeful. By morning, when the storm finally abated, they had formulated a plan. "Your ship's communication array might still be functional," Juno suggested as they emerged from the cave, surveying the transformed landscape. The storm had partially buried the Nexary vessel under drifts of reddish dust. If so, we could potentially intercept more consortium transmissions, Thexel agreed, moving with greater strength than the previous day, his body's remarkable healing abilities already at work. They approached the ship cautiously, aware that the storm might have attracted attention. Inside, they set to work repairing the communications systems, Juno's human engineering perspective complementing Thexel's deeper understanding of Nexary technology. "Your approach is unorthodox," Thexel commented, watching her splice together components that weren't designed to interface. "Sometimes you need to think outside the regulated parameters," Juno replied, grinning. "That's how humanity has survived despite having inferior technology. We improvise." "A valuable skill," Thexel acknowledged, his clawed hand brushing against hers as they worked together on a particularly delicate connection. The touch sent an unexpected shiver through Juno. She glanced up, finding Thexel's amber eyes already on her. There was something in his gaze she hadn't noticed before, a warmth that seemed at odds with his reptilian appearance. "I think we've got it," she said quickly, breaking the charged moment. "Let's test the system." The communications array hummed to life, scanning frequencies. Almost immediately, it detected encrypted transmissions. "Consortium protocols," Thexel confirmed, his expression darkening. And, he stopped abruptly, his head tilting in a distinctly predatory manner. "We have company." Juno heard it a moment later, the distinctive whine of approaching engines. "Military?" "Worse. Multiple signatures. Both human and Nexary vessels, converging on our position." "How is that possible? They shouldn't be operating together." Thexel's eyes narrowed. "Unless they're both responding to the same distress call. One designed to bring our forces into conflict." "A trap," Juno realized. "Using your ship as bait." "We must leave immediately," Thexel began gathering the communication equipment. "If they find us together." "Neither side would believe the truth," Juno finished grimly. She hesitated, then added, "We should separate. You rejoin your people, I return to mine. Safer that way." Thexel stopped, fixing her with that intense amber gaze. "Is that what you want, Juno Reeves? To return to our respective sides, to continue fighting a war based on lies?" "Of course not, but—" "Then come with me," he interrupted. "My personal scout vessel remains hidden in the emergency bay. It survived the crash. Together, we can gather the evidence needed to expose this deception." Juno stared at him, stunned by the offer and the implications. "You're asking me to desert." "I'm asking you to seek truth," Thexel countered. "Is loyalty to false narratives more important than preventing further bloodshed?" The approaching engines grew louder. Time was running out. "This is insane," Juno muttered, yet she found herself helping gather the critical equipment. "Even if we escape, where would we go? Every port in known space would consider us either traitors or prisoners of war." "The fringe systems," Thexel suggested. "Beyond established jurisdiction. We could find allies there, beings who have reason to distrust both our governments." Working rapidly, they made their way to the hidden emergency bay where, as Thexel had promised, a sleek Nexary scout ship waited. Unlike the battle cruiser, it was designed for speed and stealth rather than combat. "Can you fly this thing?" Juno asked as they boarded. "Can a Nexary swim through acid lakes?" At her blank look, he added, "That is affirmative." The scout ship powered up silently, its advanced systems coming online. Through the view screen, Juno could see the first patrol ships appearing on the horizon, 3 human cutters and 2 Nexary destroyers, still maintaining distance from each other but clearly coordinating their search pattern. "They'll detect us as soon as we launch," she warned. "Not necessarily," Thexel engaged a sequence of commands. "This vessel has experimental cloaking technology. It was being transported for testing when we were attacked." "Convenient," Juno remarked. "Fortune favors the prepared," Thexel replied, the Nexary equivalent of a smile briefly showing his sharp teeth. Prepare for launch. The ship rose smoothly from its concealment, the cloaking field shimmering around them like heat distortion. Below, the patrol vessels continued their approach toward the crashed cruiser, oblivious to their departure. Setting course for the fringe, Thexel announced. The journey will take approximately 7 standard days. 7 days confined in a small scout ship with a Nexary commander. A week ago, the thought would have terrified Juno. Now, watching Thexel's skilled hands manipulate the controls, she felt something entirely different, anticipation, perhaps even excitement. There's no going back from this, she said softly. For either of us. Thexel turned to her, his expression solemn. Among my people, there is a saying, the path forward is the only path that matters. What lies behind us now is built on deception. What lies ahead could bring truth. As the scout ship accelerated away from Proxima 6, breaking free of its gravitational pull, Juno felt a strange sense of liberation. She had come to this moon seeking salvage, valuable technology she could sell. Instead, she had found something far more precious, purpose, and an unlikely ally. To truth, then, she said, meeting Thexel's amber gaze. To truth, he agreed, and whatever comes after. The stars stretched before them as the ship entered hyperspace, carrying human and Nexary together into an uncertain future. Behind them, 2 mighty fleets continued their dance of destruction, manipulated by unseen forces. Before them lay the challenge of unraveling a conspiracy spanning galaxies, and perhaps, in the process, discovering what else might be possible between 2 species who had only ever known each other as enemies. As Proxima 6 vanished from view, Juno realized that the most valuable thing she had salvaged from that desolate moon wasn't technology or data, but something far more rare in these war-torn times, hope. Hope that bridges could be built across the void separating their worlds. Hope that understanding could triumph over hatred. And as Thexel's hand briefly rested on her shoulder, a gesture of reassurance that transcended species barriers, she dared to hope for something more personal as well, a connection that defied everything she had been taught to believe. Together they accelerated toward the stars, 2 individuals against the machinery of war, carrying with them the fragile possibility of peace.